Hey, it's Allyson Steinberg, your host, and I'm here just to welcome you to Estheticians in Business, the podcast. Hey guys, welcome to Estheticians in Business, the podcast. And honestly, I'm so excited you're here because if you're actually watching this on YouTube, you may be like, this is in a different place. So, my husband and I, Jesse, we decided that I needed a better setup because I don't know if you guys know this, but I have literally no idea what I'm doing with a podcast. And I kind of just went in this, Googled some stuff, was like, all right, let's go. And we've just been kind of making it work with what we have. And so for a while, all my audio has been on my computer, or it's been on my headphones. All my lighting is like this little light I have. It's always like in this small area of my office. And we decided that, I need like a little content corner that I actually like create a space that is just for like podcasting, something that's fun because I enjoy doing this, right? Well, if you're in the YouTube video, if you're not, I'm going to tell you what's going on. So over here to my left is my peace lily. My mom gave me this forever ago and I'm trying to keep her alive. She's doing pretty good. Okay. I don't know if she'll be in all my videos or on my podcast, but she's hanging out. Okay. Next thing, I'm sitting in this super like antique chair. I don't know how old she is, but my husband got me this when Valentine's Day, like we still live in Charleston. So it had to be like 2017. So these chairs have been hanging out with me for a long time. There's actually another one that's behind the camera you can't see currently. But I love it 'cause it's so on brand. Flowers, it's got like that red pink in it. It's just so pretty. And so this is actually in our bedroom. And then this guy, my microphone. So this is not the microphone we're gonna stick with, but because aesthetically, I want, like you guys know, you see podcasters, they just look super cute with like their big microphone. And so I want that. But this one is actually, my husband makes music. And so this was like an extra one he had. And so we are giving it a go. And I'm so excited. So I hope you guys get to watch this, the transition of what it looks like for me to go from in my office to an actual like area. I already told him, I was like, I want more kids. I want more space. We're just gonna have to get a bigger house or if I have to buy a new house. He was like, what? I was like, we're buying a house. It has to be multiple stories. Like, we need rooms. And he was like, Allison, chill. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Does anybody else get like super stressed out where they're just like, all of a sudden, it's like, we need this, 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 and this. And he's like, we're talking like 10 years down the road. Like, clam it down. Um, so there's that. But I'm more excited that you're here because I'm going to be starting off this episode with some funny stuff. So I I don't know if you guys have seen like this trend going around on like TikTok and I've seen some on Instagram where it's like I want you to share like the most unhinged thing that's happened in like your niche and not just like basic stuff but like the real unhinged crazy stuff. Well, I did this. I don't know if you hopefully you guys have seen it because it's so funny, but I did this yesterday actually. And so go check out my Instagram, Estheticians in Business. I did this, and I wasn't really expecting a lot because I was like, I don't even know if there's going to be a lot of people that are going to, share their craziness. And I've shared one of my crazy stories before, but I actually want to share some of the stories that people have shared with me and have given me permission to share that they shared on Instagram with me about crazy stuff that has happened in their spa. So before I get into it, I want you to know that if anything crazy ever happens to you, know you're not alone. Please let me know because we could talk about it. And share with me. I actually post this in my Facebook group as well, Estheticians in Business, the Facebook group. I know you guys are like, wow, the names. I know. Anyways, so I did post in there, but I want you guys to pop in one of those and please share with me your crazy stories. I want to know, but let's read some of them together. All right. So the first one says, is a client asked me to answer her phone for her when it was ringing. So I did. And on speaker, and it was on speaker, and the whole salon heard, press one to accept the charges associated with collect call from inmate 857. We were both mortified, but she still asked me to hit one. When I read that, I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. And then I messaged and I asked, like, did they continue the conversation? But she didn't message me back. So I'll update you as soon as I know. Okay. Next one. She was doing a pedicure and the pedicure toenail flew up my nose. I tried to nonchalantly blow my nose, figured it would fall out, but it didn't. And it fell out a good 10 minutes later. Oh my gosh. So I actually messaged her and she told me that this was at like a high-end salon. So she had to like keep her like composure really together. And I actually shared with her too, there was one time we were practicing lashes in school and somehow inhaled a lash in my nose and we were laughing. I was trying to get it out. Well, it just sucked right up and I never saw that lash again, ever. So I'm assuming there's a lash. Like my liver has a lash on it now. Like it's gone. I don't know where it is. Maybe it's still up my nose. Maybe it's like part of my hair now. I don't. This next one, guys. Okay. Thought my cotton gauze left strings on my client after using it with an astringent before Brazilian. So she was prepping the skin before Brazilian. So I pulled on the string and it had resistance and I came to the realization that this was actually her tampon. We didn't say anything and I just continued the Brazilian, but I was super mortified and she also was super new. Like, could you imagine? So if you're a waxer, let me know. Okay. All right. So this another girl said, Miss Girl had lice, noticed 20 minutes into the appointment, but good thing she had a silicone topper. She still threw everything out. And I asked her, I said, oh my gosh, it's terrible. Like, did she come back? And she was like, no, she never came back. And I tried really hard to make her feel better, but I stopped the appointment immediately and like made her go. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, in reality, would you come back? Like, I wouldn't come back. Like, I feel like if I had lice and I didn't know, and then I was caught with lice, I just don't think I would ever go back to the establishment I was at. So that's horrible. Okay. So this next one is, I think we only have this following one's going to be good. Okay. Anyways, so she said a client started her period mid Brazilian wax. And when I saw blood on the strip, I panicked. And when she saw my face, she panicked. And I asked her, oh my gosh, like, what did you do? She said, honestly, we just laughed about it, but I thought I like ripped her lip. She said, I was terrified. And I was just like, oh my gosh, but I feel like if you had done that, you would have heard it because Brazilians aren't pleasant in the first place. Okay, so you guys, you gotta follow along with this one because this one set me off. Okay, so it says, I did a full set of lashes. Okay. Okay. I could do this. Okay. I did a full set of lashes on a client, and she said she didn't have the money to pay for them. Okay, side note, you guys know that happens. That sometimes you have to make people pay ahead of time. Like, you know this happens. She did a full set of lashes on a client, and she said that she didn't have the money to pay for them. So I said, put your butt back on that bed. I'm taking them off. She was in complete shock, and then she said, I have food stamps. So let's add, this girl came in knowing she didn't have any money and got her lashes done. Like, how shady, right? But she said she had food stamps. So she said, I literally made my grocery list for the price of the full set plus a 30% tip for her complete BS. And she had her boyfriend go get the groceries and drop them off at my studio. She said I wouldn't let her leave. Yo, that's not the most gangster thing I have ever heard in my whole life. Like, oh my gosh, that is incredible. Like, oh, you gonna no show me? You gonna not pay me? You're gonna pay me in tortillas? You're gonna pay me in some strawberries? Like what? All right, so this next one, this girl, so I think it's the last one. She shared with me coochie sugar flicked and landed in my hair. So I messaged her, asked if I could share this, and she said that another esthetician, the sugar from somebody's cooch flicked onto her lip. She said she clocked out immediately after that service. And I'm like, did she come back? Because I don't know if I would ever sugar a coochie again. Like, what? Now, I did get some stories. Now, one for everybody who shared with me, these are beautiful. Please go check out some of them. These are my favorite. Okay, so for everybody who did share with me kind of privately, a lot of them were actually like about men not being, respectful during services. And every single one of the women were just like, it was just horrible because they all thought I was gonna give them like a happy ending after giving them a facial or service. And I just find that that is absolutely crazy. And honestly, that's why I actually like anytime I would have a new client, regardless if they're female or male, but every time I definitely had a male, I always let my husband know like what was going on. So I'd be like, this is the service I'm providing. These are the times where I'm gonna like check in because a lot of the times, guys, we're alone in these rooms. And it was really actually sad the amount of women who didn't post on there, but that did message me telling me about people that were just disrespectful of them and like who they were. And I just want to share with you that if somebody ever says anything to you that makes you uncomfortable, you absolutely 100% have the right to stop that service, to end that service, and to walk out of that room safely and promptly. Okay. And I'm also telling you right now, you should definitely be able to protect yourself. So just keep that in mind that you should be able to protect yourself, do something, scream loudly. This is one of the reasons why we're actually going to talk about schedule today, but this is actually one of the reasons why I didn't take services after a certain hour because I worked a suite and I wanted to make sure there were other people in the building. I wanted so that I could leave and that if any of my services got weird or if anybody showed up weird, like you just don't know. Like some people are just disrespectful. And so I first want to say if that's happened to them, I am so sorry and you are so hurt. And if you ever need to talk about anything that's ever happened, please let me know. All jokes aside, like especially stuff with that, like that is never okay. And I 100% want you to tell somebody. I also 100% want you to never allow that human back in your space. If that means that you just completely block them from booking, like that money doesn't matter. Your safety matters. You cannot perform another Brazilian if that person hurts you. So you want to make sure that you are always keeping yourself safe because I hear countless times about, massage therapists that end up having to stop a service because somebody is disrespectful to them. And I think that's the same way that you have to approach it with your business as well. If somebody is disrespectful to you, regardless if it is sexual or if it is just inappropriate conversation, you can stop it and you can continue if you're comfortable, or you end it and you exit. And you just make sure that your safety always 100% comes first. So I'm just gonna put that little caveat in there. And we're actually gonna hop into talking about scheduling. Now, I feel like this is something that's not always talked about in our industry. And it's literally like, so my husband, I told you guys, is going to esthetician, not esthetician, he's not becoming an esthetician. My husband's becoming a barber. And they're always talking to him about schedule of like, you don't eat lunch, you work, 12 hours a day, you just don't enjoy, your first few years is just hustle, 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 hustle. And I'm not saying the hustle culture isn't there, but I'm saying is that we live in a time where self care matters, where your mental health matters, your physical health matters, your spiritual health matters. And if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of the other people that are around you? Because as someone who is extremely an empath, I can walk into a room and I can feel somebody's energy. And if it's off, I feel that and it hurts. And so I always talk to people about making sure that your energy is in check and your energy is healthy because regardless, if you mean to or not, we absorb those energies. We absorb the bad, the good. So if you're not having people in your life or in your treatment room that are sometimes they're draining. I remember there's always this one client always comes to my brain, and she would come in and just be such a Debbie Downer. I mean, such a downer. It would make me so sad because I'm like, why? And unfortunately, I was in a predicament where I couldn't necessarily end her like being a client because she was in a contract with me, like a membership. And so when I hired an employee or like a contractor for a few like months, I gave her to my contractor. But I would jade roll for free. I was just like, this is a free item. I would just like jade roll. I'm like, let me just absorb. Put these in a moon or something after here. But like, let me just absorb some of this craziness. But you have to realize that the burnout that comes with being an esthetician 100% happens because we don't take care of ourselves, that we overwhelm ourselves as estheticians, that as business owners, because we're no longer like I made a post the other day about talking about being an esthetician, but you're a business owner now. You're not just providing a service. So you're not just going in, clocking into a job and clocking out. You don't clock out, but you have to find ways to make sure that you're taking care of yourself 100% of the time. So I have some notes. If you're watching this video, y'all are gonna like see me on my phone. But the thing is, we need to focus on how to schedule yourself like a CEO, like somebody who owns the business and not somebody who's just coming in for the job. And I don't know if you guys ever heard anybody talk about like ideal schedule, like coming up with your ideal schedule and what that looks like. But an ideal schedule to me, when you think about it, right? Like I want to like sleep in and I want this slow morning, I want all that stuff. And a lot of that stuff's not possible, especially if you have children, all that stuff. So I want you to really focus when you think about an ideal schedule, like truly an ideal schedule, not like a real, like a dream schedule where you would just, this is what it would look like if you had no responsibilities, but truly coming up with an ideal schedule that because you do have to work, you do have children, you do have to have physical health, mental health, spiritual health. What does that look like for you? And so, for instance, kind of give you what mine looked like when I was in the treatment room. And if you guys remember, I'm no longer in the treatment room, and because I sold my spa, 100% trained estheticians now. And so this is what my schedule looked like while I was in the treatment room. So I took Sundays off because that was my Sabbath. It was the day where I went to church. I spent time with my husband and my daughter. Like that was our day of rest. That was the day that we just hung out and were just together. And I did this before I had my daughter as well. Okay. Then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I worked where my first service started at 10. So I got to work around 9. And my last service started at 4. So I was out of the spa by 6. So it was like 10 to 6 was my time frame. Right. That was really incredible because I could literally have, 4, 5, 6 clients in a day, and I could make a bit of money, and I could go home and I would still be able to get home to have dinner with my family, to go on a walk if it, wasn't like stupid dark outside. And in the morning, I was still able to go to the gym. I was still able to have a Bible time. I was still able to get ready. Like I was still able to be still a person. Okay. And then on Wednesday specifically, I created that as my admin day. So that was always my slowest day. And I didn't have a virtual assistant. I didn't have another hire. I didn't have somebody who helped me with retail. It was just me. And so I had to have an admin day because I refused to tap into my family days, my husband and I's date day to do stuff. So on Wednesday, I did a 10 o'clock service, a 12 o'clock service, and then my 2 and 4 o'clock service. So all my services, just so you know, were about an hour and a half long, sometimes 2 hours. And that was my average. So sometimes they were shorter. I just ran things a little differently. We'll get that another time. But anyway, so I would do a 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock service, quote unquote. That would be, I would block out every single week. So it always looked like I was booked. It never looked like, oh, Allison's closed that time. I was booked that time. Okay. And now, if I had to have a client, the client was like, I really need this time, whatever. Sometimes, depending on the client, obviously, I would make the exception, like, okay, you can have, my 2 o'clock time frame. But during that 2 and 4 o'clock, like quote unquote service time, I would use that to do my admin work, to do my creation work, to do my building of my business work. So like that was when I created my membership. That was when I created like different services or promotions I was coming up with. That's where I ordered my retail. That's not when I did laundry. That was when, if something really needed to be done, that was when I took care of that. Well, that's when I planned. That's when I did my social media. That's when I recorded stuff. Like I took those 2 to 4 hours, and I truly worked on those 2 to 4 hours. And when you think about doing like deep work in your business, even if you just took 1 hour a week to do deep work on your business, so whether that was like coming up with something that's actually physically scaled your business to where you weren't like feeling like you had to be there 100% of the time, because unfortunately, as service providers, if we're not there, we're not making money. So if you're not doing something like deep work to make sure that you are getting those clients or getting that work done to ensure that your business scales and grows, how are you doing it, right? So on Wednesday, between 2, 4, and 6, depending, I would do that deep work. And this is also when, if I had like a lot of chemical peel clients the week before, if I had a lot of new clients, if I was doing like the model method, or if I needed to follow up with somebody, this is typically the time that I took to do it as well. All right. Now, Thursdays, this was my networking day. And I necessarily didn't choose Thursdays intentionally, but I was part of a BNI that did a lunchtime BNI, and it was like 11:30 to like 1 o'clock. Every single Thursday I went. And so that morning I would have a little bit of a slower morning. And then I would go to Dunkin' Donuts. I would get like chocolate donut holes. And because they made my heart very happy. And I would go to my BNI, and then I would come home, and I'd get home around 2 o'clock. And then my husband and I would spend the rest, this was pre-baby. My husband and I would spend the rest of the day together having a date day. So whatever that was. And we always swap. So if you guys ever date days, like we would have, we call it no complaint dates. And so basically, he would choose a 1 week. He would choose exactly what we did. And it was, a lot of times, it's very free because we're very budgeted. So it was very free, and the other person couldn't complain. That's what the no complaint date was. The other person could not complain. And we started doing this in 2020. And so like he would do a week and I would do a week, and it just changed our relationship. So here's your free relationship advice. Anyway, so then Friday was kind of my busy day, but not super busy. So I would always have like either my first service or my last service were always empty, usually, which I wasn't sad about. So that would always give me a little bit of time to kind of wiggle room because the rest of my weeks were so booked. Saturday was super, super booked. And that is not when I did like really anything. I just focused on working on Saturday. And so that to me, and it was every day 10 to 6. Okay. Now, whenever I was at one point kind of testing out the waters of what I wanted, I would do sometimes Wednesday, I would cut out my early service on my 10 o'clock service, and I would do a 12, a 2, a 4, and a 6. This was pre-baby. And I would take on that extra client, or even I would take the 10 o'clock service. And I did that because I had to kind of figure out how I was going to build my business continually and try to scale. Because I don't know about you guys, but I am not interested in working 12-hour days. And so that to me was my ideal schedule, that 10 to 4. I still got to go to the gym, I still got to go to church, still got to date my husband, still got to network. I put it into my weekly life. Okay. So that was my ideal schedule. And what I suggest to you is literally make out if you're a brand new solo, or if you're not a brand new, so maybe you're a solo esthetician who's been a solo esthetician for like a really long time, and you're like, you know what, I would love to just be able to work these hours. Well, if you want to work those hours, work those hours. And I've had so many of my students be like, say so many, I probably had like 3 of my students tell me, well, I can't change my hours because of my clients. And here's the reality, sis, is that if you are putting out a certain schedule, a client with that certain schedule is going to find you. So, for instance, if you're like a morning person, you're like, I want a 5 a.m. service, a 7 a.m. service, a 9 a.m. service, and you're done and out of there by 11 a.m. There are people that are awake and ready for a facial at 5 a.m., 100%. But you just have to advertise it. Okay, you can change your schedule to make sure it fits you and the lifestyle that you want to have. Now, because I've had so many people tell me, oh my gosh, I have to have that 8 o'clock service at night because my clients, if you want to work that 8 o'clock service, get it, girl, do it. But if you don't, then don't. I helped this massage therapist one time. We broke down her schedule because she was like, people are just like booking randomly and they'll cancel on me and then reschedule. And I'm like, because you're always available. Like, you're literally always available because you have your hours set like 12 hours a day where people can book between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Like, I couldn't even imagine having that schedule because think about it. If someone books at 9 a.m. and then nobody else books until 7 p.m., you are at your spa for that whole time, especially if you live far away and there's a commute. No one wants that. So I always tell people make sure that you are creating a schedule that makes sense, but also gives you something called exclusivity. And exclusivity is once you can learn what exclusivity is, it can be a massive game changer to your business. That's why if you guys, bought the promo playbook or did the Mother's Day stuff, you'll see that I talk about urgency. I talk about making sure that you are ensuring that people know there are limited spots. This is a time limit, like whatever it is, because people need that urgency. Okay. So when you're thinking about your schedule, create something that makes sense, that doesn't make you 100% available all the time. I mean, I can't even think how many times here where I live now, because I don't have massage therapists here. So if you're in Alabama and you're a massage therapist, please reach out to me. I need one. But I've reached out to like a spa and I've asked them like, what, like, do you have available? Oh yeah, we're completely open. And they'll tell me that their massage therapists are working 9 a.m. to sometimes 10 p.m. at night. One, that's disgusting. But two, okay, I'll call you when I'm ready to book because I know you're always available. Like, you don't want a calendar like that where people are like, oh, you're always available. Like, you do not want a calendar like that. You just don't. Someone is like 24 hours before the appointment is like, oh, I can come in for a 7 o'clock, but you've already scheduled like a dinner for that night. Like, that sucks. Okay. So, this is my next tip for you when you're choosing a schedule is when you are thinking about your schedule as a CEO. Okay. And I want you to think about CEOs, like true CEOs, like people that are running a business, which you are. They are people who schedule ahead of time. They block out their calendar when they have plans. They have stuff set up ahead of time. So consider this, okay? You find out that in January, you find out that somebody's getting married in May and you have to be at that wedding. That is the time where you are going to block off your schedule in your calendar, in your booking site, meaning that no one can book for that time. But here's the other kicker is you're not going to advertise, hey guys, I'm out of town this time. No, you're not going to lie to them. Obviously, someone ask, but you're just going to leave it as booked. Okay. It's just going to look booked. It's going to look like you are booked, busy, and thriving. Because you know what people want? They want that FOMO. When people are out here just like, I want to book with her because she's always like busy. I want that. Or like, I'm not going to miss my appointment because I know she's not going to be available. So you have to make sure it's booked. So this is what I do every single solitary year, no matter the business, no matter the life, whatever it is. I've had lots of businesses. I do everything. At the beginning of the year, really any time, you can do it now. Okay, this is April. You go onto your personal calendar and you mark off all those times in your calendar that you want off. So for me, I'm a veteran, meaning I don't want to work government holidays. I'm accustomed to not working government holidays. I don't want to work Memorial Day. I want to hang out with my family. I don't want to work Veterans Day. I want to go get free food. Okay. So I'm not going to work government holidays. I'm also not going to work Christmas Eve, which I have before. It's terrible. I'm not going to work Christmas Eve. I'm probably not going to work the day before Thanksgiving because I want to go drive somewhere to my family. And so I will mark those days off, meaning that I will put them into my calendar and I will block them off. Then I will go into my booking site and I will do the exact same thing. Even if I don't allow people to book like 3 months in advance or 4 months or 5 months in advance, I will still go in there and block it off. Okay. Then I will go through and I will block off any weddings I know are happening, birthdays I want to participate in, anything knowing I want to travel. My husband and I will travel like pretty frequently. So, like, I will block those days off. I will block off anytime anything comes up. And then if my husband's schedule changes for some reason and I need to be home earlier, I will block that off. If I need to change whatever it looks like, I don't necessarily share with my clients, hey, this is what I'm doing because I'm the boss, right? I get to choose. So, like, I don't want to feel bad or like insecure about taking off the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I'm the boss. I get to choose that. I get the right to say, I don't want that. Now, you might be like, Allyson, like, I need the money. I need to work. Well, here's your options. If you know in advance that you're going to take a random Wednesday off. So for instance, my mental health needed midweek breaks sometimes. Okay. My anxiety, my depression, she needed it. She needed to just be away. Okay. Because I'm extreme extrovert, but sometimes I need to be away so that I can just like rejuvenate, I don't know, take a nap. And what I would do was I would take off a random Wednesday and I would put it into my calendar like every 3 months, like this is the Wednesday I was taking off. Okay. And what I would do planning out for us, I would let my clients know, like, hey, this Wednesday is already booked. Let's go ahead and get you in for this Tuesday or Monday. Or let's get you in on, the next week or the week prior. We wouldn't necessarily skip. I would just maybe work a little bit longer, or I would extend my hours or shorten another service to where, like, yes, you can come in at this time, because my services are different. But I would change something to make sure that I still got that client in. And that's where you guys got to kind of play around with it. And like when you're thinking about creating a schedule, creating something that makes sense to you, that you love, that you enjoy. Because when you are going to a job every single day and you're like, I don't want to work this job because the hours suck, the time sucks. I want to be home. I'm missing bath time. I'm missing dinner time. I'm missing, watching my kids go to school, or I keep thinking about kids, but I want to go to the gym. I want a healthier life. I want to be able to meal prep every Sunday. I want to go to church. I want to be able to see the sunrise or see the sunset with my husband or my wife, my partner, whatever. I want to get my nails done. That is when you get to choose what your schedule looks like, because I 100% expect and realize that I bet you if you go through your schedule right now, that I bet there are huge gaps in your schedule that you could be doing something else, or that you could change something in your schedule to reflect the life that you want. Because if you're going to be a solo esthetician, you need to be the solo part of it, which is the business part. Because the esthetician part is the part that performs services. That's the part that truly shows up as the service provider. Then you have the solo part, meaning you are alone. You are the business owner. And if you don't create a schedule that allows you to create, so like outside of a facial, outside of a Brazilian, if you don't create a life that allows you to create memberships, allows you to create Instagram posts, or allows you to network, allows you to be creative, allows you to do mindset work, to read, to get a coach, to take care of yourself. If you don't have that time for education, you're not going to grow as that solo part, as that business owner. So you have to remember that when you are becoming a solo esthetician and you're growing as a solo esthetician, start this hours off as what you want them to be, not what they could be. So like think about immediately as soon as I started, I was like, I want to go to the gym and I want to be home with my husband at night so before I had a child. And so I created those hours knowing that's what it would look like. Okay. After having my daughter, I wanted to get there earlier and leave earlier because I wanted to be home with my daughter during her wake hours because she was still a baby. And I created that because I wanted that schedule to look like that. And so I know it can be sometimes like be overwhelming, but the reason that so many people are overstressed, overwhelmed, just burnt out is because you're not taking care of yourself first. You're not taking how do you expect to fill somebody else's cup and give them the life they need from you if you can't take care of yourself? And that literally could mean that maybe you block out that every once a month, every, Tuesday afternoon, that's when you go and get your chiropractic work done. That's when you get a massage. I always, no matter what, blocked out part of like a Monday because I would go get a massage because like every month, once a month, I would do this. And it was glorious. But, I didn't tell my clients, like, hey, I'm getting a massage this day. Like, because but the thing is that people want is they want you to do what they want you to do. They don't care about your life necessarily, even if they're like your BFF clients. They want you to take care of them when you need to take care of yourself. And so it also leaves space for you not to give an explanation. I'm so sorry, I'm just booked. I'm booked. That's just what it is. And so really the whole point of this is I want you to create just an ideal schedule. Really. I mean, I could create a PDF for this, but like break this down for you. Go write it down, pen and paper, and just write out like what you want your ideal schedule to look like, starting with what do you want your hours to look like on Sunday, if any? What do you want your hours to look like on Monday, if any? Maybe you're somebody who already works a full-time job and you're like, you know what? I have to build a clientele, but I also know that I don't want to lose my mind. So let's work these hours. Okay. Maybe you're going to work every other day. Whatever your circumstances are, what does that look like for you? And so, anyways, this is kind of like one of my favorite topics because I feel like you can transform your business, your life just by changing the schedule, just by choosing yourself first. Okay. You can literally I talk about this with my sister-in-law. I used to talk about it all the time when she would talk when I was like, you have to choose yourself. Have to choose yourself. And I'm not saying you choose yourself because like I know it's hard. If you have a child, it's hard. If you have a business, it's hard, but choosing yourself. And I'm not saying in the sense of like, don't do something, don't take care of something, but make sure that you created a schedule that allows you to rest, that allows you to love yourself, that allows you to just be. That is what it can look like to be a CEO and not just someone who shows up to a job, clocks in and clocks out. Okay. So, anyways, if this was super helpful for you guys, if you can leave a comment, some stars, whatever, share this on your your Instagram stories and please tag me. I am doing a giveaway. We're almost at the giveaway mark actually. A court for quarterly for people who have shared my podcast on Instagram, and I will be doing a giveaway for free coaching. So please, please, please check that out. Let me know. If you guys ever have any questions, you can always DM me directly on Instagram, Estheticians in Business, or Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. It is Estheticians in Business, the Facebook group. So anyways, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for being here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. Yay. Okay. Bye.